My dentist saved my life with a torn piece of paper and 6 words that burned into my memory forever. I did not understand their meaning at first, but they would soon become the line between breathing and never coming home. My name is Ryan. I was 24 years old and living in a mid-sized city in the Midwest. From the outside, my life looked steady. I worked at a logistics office, answering emails, organizing schedules, and fixing small problems before they grew large. I rented a modest apartment near the river and ran there in the evenings when the weather allowed. I talked to my mom every Sunday. Without fail, she lived a few hours away and still worried like I was 12, not grown. My dad left when I was young, and my mom carried the weight quietly. She taught me routines, discipline, and how to be polite with strangers but cautious with trust. I thought I had learned those lessons well. Turns out I had not. 3 months before everything collapsed, I met someone who changed my sense of safety. Her name was Claire. We met at a used record shop. While reaching for the same vinyl, the moment felt easy, natural, and safe. She laughed at my joke. I liked the sound of it immediately. Claire was older than me by a few years. She spoke with confidence and listened closely. She worked in consulting and traveled often. That explained why she could only see me on certain days. I never questioned it. I felt chosen when she made time for me. She remembered small things, my favorite late-night food, the way I hated cold pizza, the song that always stuck in my head during long drives. It felt real. It felt rare. The morning of my dental appointment began normally. My car was in the shop, so Claire offered to drive me. I thought that was thoughtful. I thought that was what caring people did. We talked the entire drive. Weekend plans, a hiking trail. She wanted to try a place for lunch near the clinic. Everything sounded warm and ordinary. The dental office was familiar. Same staff, same smell, same soft music. Dr. Lewis had been my dentist since college. He was calm, observant, and quietly focused. Claire sat in the waiting room scrolling through her phone. She smiled and said she would be right there. When I finished, I believed her. I followed the hygienist down the hallway, feeling relaxed. I had no idea that something had already shifted, no idea that my life had reached the edge without my consent. The cleaning began. Like any other small talk tools, clicking ceiling tiles, counting time. Then Dr. Lewis entered. He greeted me politely, checked my teeth, and then he paused. He looked past me toward the door window. His posture changed just enough for me to feel it, not fear, exactly focus. He continued working, but slower, more deliberate, like time itself mattered. Suddenly, he reached for a small pad, wrote something, and tilted it so only I could see 6 words written quickly, clear, heavy: do not speak. If you need help. My heartbeat stopped, and the world quietly cracked open. And that was when I realized the danger was not in the chair. It was waiting for me outside. Next part, everything I believed about love would begin to break. I read the words again and again. My mouth was open, but my thoughts were screaming, do not speak. If you need help. I had no idea what help I needed or why. I looked up at Dr. Lewis. His eyes were steady, not panicked. That scared me more than fear ever could. He wrote again, another message, only for me, the person who brought you here. Do you trust them? My chest tightened. I wanted to nod. That was the easy answer, but my body would not move. 3 months. That's how long I had known Claire. 3 months of dinners, laughter, nights on my couch. 3 months of believing safety could be learned quickly. I shook my head, slowly, barely visible, but enough. Dr. Lewis leaned closer, pretended to check my back teeth. His voice dropped low. There is someone dangerous in the waiting area. I recognized her from a police bulletin. We are already calling for help. Stay calm. My hands gripped the chair so hard they shook. Dangerous. The word echoed again and again. I thought of every moment with Claire, every smile, every kind gesture. Every time I let her into my space, nothing made sense. My brain searched for explanations, mistake, confusion, wrong person. But Dr. Lewis was not guessing, he was certain. The hygienist moved closer. Her voice remained light. She talked about her weekend plans, about her dog, about anything that sounded normal. But her eyes never stopped watching the door. Dr. Lewis left the room calmly, said something about paperwork. I watched him go, knowing he was putting himself between me and something I could not yet see. Time slowed. Each second stretched. My breath sounded too loud. I imagined Claire in the waiting room, scrolling her phone, waiting patiently. That image felt wrong, now sharp, false. The hygienist whispered that police were on the way, that I was safe, that I just had to stay where I was. I did not feel safe. I felt exposed. I wondered what would have happened if the appointment ended normally, if I had walked out smiling, if I had followed Claire back to the car. That thought made me sick. Then we heard it, sirens, distant at first, then closer. My body shook as relief and fear collided. The waiting was worse than the noise. Voices, footsteps, commands. Someone raised their voice. Then Claire, her tone changed, confused, then angry, demanding. The scuffle was brief, but loud. Furniture moved. Someone shouted again, then silence. A knock on the door. A calm voice said it was safe. I stood slowly. My legs felt unreal, floating and weak. When I stepped into the hallway, everything I thought I knew disappeared. Claire was on the floor in handcuffs, her face empty, not familiar anymore. She looked at me, and for the first time I saw nothing human in her eyes. And that was when the truth finally caught up with me. Next part, I would learn who she really was. The officers spoke carefully, like they were handling glass. They told me the woman I knew as Claire had a different name, several names actually. She was wanted in 2 states, stalking, abduction, assault. There were others before me, 2 others. At least one escaped, one barely survived. I could not breathe. When they explained it, could not imagine it. They said she targeted young men, living alone, built trust, slowly waited for isolation. The trip she mentioned, the hiking place, it was never real. There was a cabin rented under a false name, remote, hidden. The evidence was in her car, supplies, restraints, things I will never forget hearing described. Dr. Lewis stood near. By quiet, his hands were still steady. He had recognized her face from a local alert. Watched carefully, called for help without alerting her. He never confronted, never escalated. He waited. He saved my life without making it obvious. I sat in the back of a police car, wrapped in a thin blanket, watching her being led away. 3 hours earlier, she kissed my cheek, said she loved how easy I was to be around. The officers said that patience was part of the pattern. She waited until victims felt safe, until no one was expecting them. I was the last step in a plan, not a partner. That realization hurt more than fear. It broke something inside me. The trial happened months later. I testified. My voice shook, then strengthened. I told the jury about the kindness, the routines, the slow trust. They saw the pattern. They believed me. She was sentenced to decades. The judge called her calculated and dangerous. Afterwards, I moved apartments, changed routines, added locks, added light. I still go to Dr. Lewis. I thanked him. He said anyone would have done the same. I know that is not true. Most people do not notice. Most people assume. Most people look away. He did not now. I pay attention to patterns, to discomfort, to silence, because sometimes danger does not shout, it waits. And next part, I will tell you what survival actually feels like after everything ends. Survival does not arrive all at once. It comes in fragments, moments where you realize you are still here, and moments where that truth feels heavier than fear. After the arrest, my days lost their shape. Time stopped behaving normally. Mornings felt Distant nights felt endless. I jumped at small sounds, footsteps in hallways, doors, closing phones, buzzing. Sleep came in pieces. I would wake soaked in sweat, convinced someone was standing over me. My body remembered things. My mind was trying to forget. My mother wanted me to come home. She begged quietly. Did not push, just waited for a while. I considered it, but I needed to stay, needed to prove something to myself. I found a new apartment across town, secure, building, bright lights, cameras in every corner. It still took weeks before I could sleep through the night. Friends checked in, some understood, some tried to make it normal. Too fast, I learned how lonely survival can feel, how people mean well, but do not know what to say. The hardest part was trust. It felt like a muscle I had torn. Every interaction required effort. Every smile felt measured. I replayed everything, trying to spot warning signs, moments I missed, red flags I ignored, but the truth was harder. Nothing was obvious. That is how predators work. They do not rush, they mirror. They listen. I met the other survivors during the trial. We sat across from each other, quietly. No rehearsed speeches, just recognition. They knew the voice, the patterns. Calm before the shift, we shared stories slowly, not details. Feelings, fear, confusion, shame, and then relief. Because none of us were crazy, we still message, sometimes short check-ins, quiet reminders that we lived. I went back to my routines, little by little, running again, cooking again, laughing without catching my breath. Afterward, Dr. Lewis became more than a dentist. He became proof that attention saves lives. I think about that moment often. The paper, the 6 words, how close everything was to ending, how quietly things can change. People talk about bravery like it is loud, but sometimes bravery is noticing, sometimes it is staying calm, sometimes it is acting without applause. I survived because someone paid attention, because someone trusted instinct over comfort. And that lesson followed me forward. In the final part, I will tell you what I carry now and why I share this story. I used to believe danger announced itself, that bad people looked bad, that instincts always spoke clearly. Now I know better. Danger can smile, it can ask how your day was, it can remember your favorite food. That knowledge stays with you, not as fear, but awareness. I still date, but slower. I ask more questions. I listen closely, not just to words, but patterns. I trust my discomfort now, even when I cannot explain it. I talk openly about what happened, not for attention, but because silence protects predators. People tell me the story scares them. I tell them it should not. It should inform. Fear shuts us down. Awareness wakes us up. I still run by the river, still drink coffee on Sundays, still call my mom. She worries less now, but she listens more when I tell her I do too. I send a message to Dr. Lewis once a year, always on the same date, just to say thank you. He replies the same way every time. Glad you are doing well. Glad you are safe. I think about the version of me that walked into that office unaware, that version trusted easily, loved easily. I do not hate that version. He survived. Survival changes you, but it does not take everything. It sharpens you. It teaches you where light really comes from. I learned that heroes do not always wear uniforms. Sometimes they hold a pen. Sometimes they choose silence over confrontation. Sometimes they act without recognition. A piece of paper and 6 words changed my life, not dramatically, quietly. If you take anything from this, let it be this: pay attention to people, patterns, to that moment when something feels off. And if you ever notice danger, do not look away, because someone noticing saved me. And because of that, I am still here.